"You dropped this, sir," said a soft voice. The man in the tailored suit turned around, his expression indifferent until his eyes fell on the small, heart-shaped locket in the girl's palm. His breath caught in his throat. The world around him went silent. That locket hadn't been seen in years. It had belonged to his late wife. The CEO of Hartman Industries, Alexander Hartman, stood frozen in the hallway, the steady hum of office chatter fading to a distant echo. He blinked once, twice, as if trying to confirm he wasn't dreaming. The girl looked barely 17, her brown eyes wide and uncertain, her janitor's uniform too big for her slender frame. Where did you get this?" His voice cracked slightly, betraying the storm rising beneath his polished exterior. The girl's fingers trembled as she held it out to him. "It was lying under your chair in the boardroom, sir. I was just cleaning up after the meeting." He reached out slowly, his hand shaking, and took the locket. The cold metal felt strangely warm in his palm, as if it remembered. His thumb brushed across the tiny engraving, "Forever," Anna. That he hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in years. The girl gave a small, polite nod and turned to leave, but something stopped him. "What's your name?" he asked, almost without realizing. "Lila," she said quietly. "Lila Grant." The name hit him like thunder. Grant. His heart stuttered. Anna's maiden name was Grant. That night, Alexander sat in his vast, silent mansion, staring at the locket on his desk. The firelight danced across the photo inside, Anna's smiling face, holding a newborn baby in her arms. The edges were worn, the hinges rusted slightly. He remembered the day she'd lost it, the night of the accident. The night everything fell apart. He'd blamed himself for years. Work had consumed him, greed had replaced love, and one fateful argument had sent Anna driving into a storm she never returned from. Their infant daughter, only 2 months old, had survived the crash but vanished shortly after, taken by Anna's estranged sister before Alexander could even recover from the shock. Every lead went cold. Every private investigator failed. For 18 years, he had lived with the echo of that guilt, rich, powerful, and completely alone. But now, this girl, Lila Grant, could it be possible? He spent the next day in a daze at work. The world seemed sharper, almost hostile. He kept seeing flashes of Anna in every reflection, every smile. The way Lila had tilted her head, the softness in her tone, it was all too familiar. When the janitorial shift began that evening, he went down to the maintenance floor himself, ignoring the puzzled looks of his executives. The air smelled faintly of detergent and metal. He found her there, wiping down a vending machine. "Lila," he said quietly. She turned, startled. "Sir?" I'm sorry if I did something wrong." No, nothing like that," he said, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I just wanted to thank you again for returning this." Her expression softened. It looked important. "My mom always said, if something means something to someone, you return it." He froze. "Your mother?" "Yes," she said, looking down. "She passed away a few years ago." His pulse quickened. "What was her name?" "Anna Grant," she said simply. "She used to tell me stories about my father, said he was strong but lost." For a moment, the world tilted. Alexander's knees almost gave out. He looked at her again, truly saw her this time, the same hazel eyes as Anna, the same determined tilt of her chin, the same warmth in her voice. It was her. It had to be her. He took a shaky breath. "Lila, your mother, did she ever tell you what happened before the accident?" Lila frowned. "A little. She said there was someone she loved very much, but they argued. Then there was an accident. She said I should never hate him, that he was hurting too." Tears filled his eyes before he could stop them. 18 years of buried pain burst to the surface. He sank onto a nearby bench, covering his face with his hands. "Lila," he whispered, voice breaking, "I was that man." She froze, the rag slipping from her hand. "What?" "I'm your father," he said hoarsely. "I never stopped looking for you. I thought you were gone forever." The silence between them stretched, fragile as glass. Lila's breath came fast, her eyes shining with disbelief, pain, and 100 questions. "My father," she whispered. "No, that can't be. My mom said, she said you never came for us." "I tried," he said desperately. "I looked everywhere. I lost everything that mattered. I thought your aunt took you to another country." His voice broke completely. "I wasn't there when you needed me, Lila. And I'll never forgive myself for that." She stood still, tears silently falling. "All these years. I thought I was alone." He reached for her, hesitated, then drew his hand back, afraid of breaking the moment. "You're not alone anymore," he said softly. "Not if you'll let me try again." She didn't answer right away. The hurt in her eyes was deep, but beneath it flickered something else. Hope. Weeks passed. Slowly, awkwardly, they began to rebuild. Alexander would visit her during breaks, bring her tea, ask about her day. He offered to pay for her college, but she refused at first. She didn't want pity. She wanted to earn her way. Eventually, he offered her an internship instead, one where she could learn, grow, and discover the company from the inside. And for the first time in years, Alexander smiled genuinely. They visited Anna's grave together on a cloudy afternoon. Lila placed white lilies on the stone, tracing her mother's name. "She would have been happy," Lila said quietly. "That you found me." "She guided me to you," he replied, voice low. That locket, it wasn't luck. It was her way of bringing us back together. They stood there in silence, the wind carrying the faint scent of rain. Lila looked up at him, her eyes shining. Maybe she just wanted us both to stop blaming ourselves. He nodded slowly, tears slipping down his cheeks. Maybe she did. As they walked back to the car, hand in hand, the sky began to clear, the clouds broke apart, and sunlight spilled across the road, a quiet promise of forgiveness and new beginnings. In that moment, the man who once had everything but love finally understood that true wealth wasn't in boardrooms or bank accounts, it was in the quiet miracle of a second chance, and as Lila smiled up at him, the locket glimmered faintly in the light, her mother's love shining through time, binding them together again.